Recording in progress.
On Wednesday, April 16th at 6:01 p.m. Agenda item 2, announcements and amendments to the agenda. Any announcements or amendments?
Yes, I have an announcement. And do we want to have the students go first? Is that the song?
Okay, so we're just going to move the student spotlight up. So we hear from you first before us meeting. Why don't you come on up?
So hi everyone, thank you all for being here. One of my very favorite things is to celebrate student learning, and so I'm glad that we have lots of supporters in the room to hear about History Day today. I want to welcome Christy Nold. Christy did quite a lot of work organizing a really incredible History Day. For me, it was a judging session because I had the honor of being one of the judges, and I was just blown away by our students' work and the number of students who were engaged in developing History Day projects. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Christy to get us started. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Should I talk into here for the purposes of Zoom, or what is best?
Yes, so
Okay.
the one that has a light is the Media Factory, and the one that's just static is the room mic.
Okay.
So probably having both of them close is a good idea.
Great, thank you. I'm going to actually start by speaking on behalf of an amazing young person who wasn't able to be here tonight, and is very disappointed to miss out. And she was going to be here both talking about her State of the Union essay and also joining with these two incredible women to talk about their National History Day project. So the first piece is that Mia was one of the 15 finalists across the state of Vermont in the Bernie Sanders State of the Union essay competition. She had the opportunity to meet with Senator Sanders in a roundtable discussion. Her essay talked about the importance of making healthcare accessible to all, and in particular highlighted the need for healthcare as a human right. And as I was preparing Mia to talk about what it means to sit down with Senator Sanders, my advice was like, Senator Sanders is who he is, who he is. So the person you've seen on the Senate floor is the person who's asking you questions. And that was definitely the experience. And Mia did an absolutely fantastic job representing South Burlington at that event. And now I'll turn it over to talk about National History Day.
Hi, my name is Gretchen Edwards and I'm a freshman in high school.
My name is Leela Sides and I'm also a freshman in high school. And we, along with Mia Kniffel, worked on a National History Day project on the Navajo Code Talkers.
So we were assigned to do National History Day for a school competition in our social studies class with Ms. Knoll. And we decided to kind of study a whole bunch of different topics, but eventually we came to the Navajo Code Talkers.
And we really felt that we need to do this topic for National History Day because they are often underrepresented, both Native Americans and specifically the Code Talkers in American history, as their mission, I'll tell you a little about in case you don't know, was to interpret calls from war and code them back so that the Marines specifically could know what's happening in battle, and that so the Japanese wouldn't really know what they were talking about. So they were speaking in Navajo with all in code to people so that they could relay important war information. And it was a classified mission, of course, because they didn't want them to know what was happening. So as a result of that, it wasn't until hundreds of years later till they were finally recognized, and most of them were dead and not able to really fully be recognized. So we created a website to kind of commemorate the Code Talkers and all their honorable work.
Yeah, so after researching a ton and just figuring out the logistics and stuff, we made a website and we presented that for our school competition. We got judged on that and we got some really positive feedback. So we decided to apply to go to states. And we got the opportunity to present at States, and that was a really fun experience for us. We had a really good time. Also, we got to learn how to make websites, so that was, that was pretty cool. We had some awesome judges. They were really engaged. We had like such a fun day there because we got to go to St. Michael's College. And then at the end, we got the Military History Award, which is like
Super incredible, honestly. With like, especially considering all the schools and students that were there, like just feeling that our website got like the Military History Award, it really it like meant a lot to us, especially pouring in all this hard work into making a website. There were so many like ups and downs, and none of us had really made a website before, so it was definitely a fun challenge to work out all the logistics and seeing that like our hard work was recognized. And it was a super cool opportunity too, because we got to walk around and see other exhibits, and we talked with many other people about history, and it was just overall like a super cool experience to see like everyone who cares about history.
Our group sadly did not get to go to the national level because there were so many great projects from our school that also did websites. And so, but 2 others from our school are going to the National History Day,
Which is
competition.
like super exciting. We're definitely like staying in touch with them to see like how they're doing, and they're definitely super excited to go to that too. Do you have any questions for us? Yes.
Can we look at the website? Do you have the website to share with us?
I didn't, but what I will do is make sure all of you get access to the website after the meeting. I should have had that to pull up and show.
And also, how long did you work on the website project from like start to finish?
Probably like a month or 2. Both in and out of class.
We had a couple all nighters, yeah.
Definitely a lot of hard work.
Code the website yourself? or
I was
did you
gonna
use,
ask the
like,
same
a
question.
hosting?
It was a little bit of a combo of both. There was a Natural History Day website builder, but we also imported some of our own code to make it look a bit nicer.
Questions?
I can't wait to check out the website. Some of you have heard me say this before. I'm a 3rd generation public school educator, and my dad is the biggest history buff I know, although Jody Valancourt can give him a run for his money. And he just retired from over 4 decades of teaching history. So it's a passion of mine, and I'm definitely gonna geek out and dig into your website. Congratulations on your award, and thank you so much for being here to share it. And thank you, Christy, and all the teachers who helped support along the way. Great having you all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I want to do a quick shout out to Drew Gordon, Isaac Coda, and Jarrett Sweet, who are the other 9th grade team teachers. And this definitely would not have happened without all those educators. And Drew Gordon in particular, who helped bring National History Day to South Burlington High School. And he won the National History Day Teacher of the Year award last year for those efforts. So pretty awesome. Thank you.
All right. Before so we wanted to move the students up to, do we have any announcements or amendments to the agenda?
I have one amendment I'd like to add to executive, just a negotiations. And I do have one announcement. Great. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to take a moment to share some information with our community about the contract negotiations currently underway in our school district. The South Burlington School Board has formally entered into negotiations with 2 employee groups, the South Burlington Educators Association, or SBEA, and the Educational Support Professional Unit, the ESPU. These are 2 separate unions, and each one has its own contract and its own set of laws that guide the bargaining process. If the community is interested, you can view the current contracts on the district's website, and we welcome any questions you may have about those contracts or the overall process. The board and each of these unions have selected teams to represent them at the bargaining table. These teams are the only groups authorized to negotiate. I serve on the board's negotiation teams along with Directors Seamus Afshir and Dan Boyer. We are supported by our lead negotiator, Joe McNeil, an attorney with many years of experience helping school districts across Vermont. We know that education in Vermont is facing serious challenges. Property taxes are high, and there are possible changes coming to school funding and state laws. Given this context, our goal as a school board is to negotiate contracts that are both responsible and supportive of our schools. At the center of every decision we make is one key question: what is best for students? To that end, the board is focused on three main priorities: a sustainable budget that the community can support, a fair and competitive benefits package for our staff, and operational efficiency that makes the best use of our limited resources to support learning. We want to attract and keep great teachers and support staff. At the same time, we must make sure we're spending taxpayer dollars wisely and making decisions that keep our schools strong for years to come. These negotiations began last October when bargaining units exchanged their intents to negotiate and scheduled initial meetings. Since then, the teams have agreed on ground rules and exchanged initial proposals. As we move forward, the teams will focus only on the items in those proposals, working better to understand each side's ideas and come to agreements on each point. For community members who may want to know significant details about what is in the proposals, it's important to understand that collective bargaining happens in a confidential setting. This confidentiality allows both sides to speak openly, explore options, and problem solve without concern that early ideas or partial agreements will be misunderstood outside the room. Sharing specific details while bargaining is in progress could unintentionally give one side an unfair advantage or complicate efforts to reach a fair solution. In Vermont, these negotiations are not subject to the open meeting law, which means they are not held in public. This is a standard and legally recognized part of the process. Because only the designated teams can negotiate, all board members, whether they're on the negotiation team or not, will be very careful when talking publicly about topics that are part of negotiations. This includes things like salaries, work hours, job responsibilities, and working conditions. If a board member were to speak too openly or offer substantive personal opinions on these issues during a meeting or in public, it might be seen as trying to bargain outside of the proper process. This could result in a legal complaint called an unfair labor practice. This doesn't mean that the board can't talk about important school issues. But if a director isn't sure whether something could be related to negotiations, it's a good idea to check in with someone on the negotiation team first. Also, if a discussion starts to get close to bargaining topics, a member of the negotiation team may ask that we pause or change the subject to keep things on track. As board members, we truly value our relationships with the SBEA and the ESPU. We respect their right to organize and to advocate for their members. We believe that our shared commitment to students and our community will help guide these negotiations in a thoughtful and respectful way. By working together, we can ensure that our schools remain strong, our staff feel supported, and our students continue to thrive. Thank you.
Any other announcements or amendments to the agenda? All right, so that brings us to comments from the public. This is the community's opportunity to share feedback and concerns with the board. We ask that you keep your comments concise, 2 to 3 minutes, and that you refrain from using any information that would identify a specific person. Please raise your hand in the room or use the Zoom raised hand feature. We will only use the online chat to manage any tech issues. We are not able to take action on any issues brought to us during public comment. However, any board member may suggest tonight that the issue or question be added to a future agenda for discussion. We may also delegate addressing issues to our superintendent, Violet Nichols, And it is always helpful if you can email us a copy of your comments for follow-up. And given the large presence of people who potentially want to make a comment, I'm also just going to take this time to review our guidelines for public comment that can be found at the top of our agenda. The first is state your legal name and town of residence. Second, comments should not be related to agenda items, but can be made during the discussion of an agenda item. 3, comments should be kept 2 to 3 minutes. 4, comments should be respectful, civil, and should not identify a specific person. 5, comments should be directed to the school board chair. 6, comments, announcements, and concerns are encouraged over asking questions. And 7, public comment is not a time for discussion. So with that, and trying to keep us on track because we have quite a bit of work to do this evening, we were set to go to 6:20 for public comment at 6:17, but we've already done our student spotlight. So I would like to propose that we can take 15 minutes for public comment. And with that information, if you would please select representatives that you believe cover your full class, that would be great.
Nice turnout. I didn't know. Drove in from St. Albans. I had no idea. It was like, where am I going to park? Where am I going to sit? So my name is Mark Gable. We moved to South Burlington in 2000. I have a daughter who's a sophomore at South Burlington High School and another daughter who graduated last year. My understanding until the last meeting was that individuals could not speak to items that were included in the agenda during public comment. Those concerns would be addressed after the school board had the opportunity to discuss the agenda item in full. And then, if community members still believed their comments were necessary, they would have an opportunity to address them to the board. I patiently waited at the last meeting while the board discussed protocol for public comment on April 2nd, following Robert's Rules of Order, or open meeting law, as they had been explained to me in the past. And then, when I asked if it was time for public comments, was abruptly shut down by the South Burlington School Board Chair, who said, "We do not take public comment on agenda items." If there was ever a subject that deserved time for comments from the public, one would think that this would be the one. If your intention as a board is to build trust in the public arena, please do not initiate a protocol that will further alienate the community, make the board appear even less approachable. These are some of the points that I was hoping to make at the last meeting. When the public is left exhausted by attempts to reach out to the administration, sometimes they feel like they only have one place left to turn, and that's you, the South Burlington School Board members. Community members need a consistent venue where their comments will be part of the public record and can be reviewed in the future by the board and other concerned parties. These meetings have always provided a safe avenue to do that. And finally, you as elected representatives of the South Burlington School Board have a responsibility to be fully aware of what determined teachers, parents, students, and community members have come to share with you. When there are concerns about how your schools are being administered and or the lack of communication and transparency by the superintendent, you, as her supervisory team, have a responsibility to be open to hearing them. Lastly, I agree, with Laura Williams' comments on the ineffectiveness of listening sessions. Having attended these myself, most notably when Superintendent Nichols was being considered for her role. At this meeting, there were 2 South Burlington School Board members and 2 community members. The first speaker stated that Violet was a perfect choice, had proven herself as an interim, and there was no reason to continue the search. I was the second community voice and felt differently. I clearly stated that I believe the South Burlington School Board owed it to our schools, teachers, and students to do a national search. I also expressed a concern that Ms. Nichols' leadership ability in a district as large as ours may not be quite enough.
Mark, it's our guideline not to identify a specific.
Okay, I apologize. I will not identify anybody by name. When this listening session was reported out to the board the following week by one of the facilitating board members, they stated that everyone in attendance agreed that the unknown superintendent was the unanimous and obvious choice, and the community should not bear any additional cost by extending the search. No mention of a conflicting viewpoint. Thus, again, the importance of each of you being present and open to hearing concerns of anyone willing and determined to share them at these meetings. Please be careful and thoughtful in how you proceed regarding your policy around public comment protocol. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll leave that with board members, if I may.
What's next?
Hi. Kristen Romick, Executive Director of Educational Support Systems. I have a letter for you all, and I'll share that with you after. So it says, Dear South Burlington School Board, it is with deep respect and unwavering support that I write on behalf of our Superintendent of Schools. With her comprehensive understanding of educators' needs, shaped by her experience as a classroom teacher and as an Executive Director of Learning, she brings a uniquely informed perspective to every decision she makes. She has consistently demonstrated visionary, student-centered leadership that has been critical to our district's success, especially during these challenging times.
Sorry, is this mostly about the superintendent?
Yes,
So I'm not,
Yeah.
not trying to permit conversation or continued habits
Yeah.
for us that identify a specific person, positive or negative.
my only question was because it's been, it was brought up already that I felt like the door was open.
And that is why the board needs to get better at being very clear about
Okay.
what is and what isn't, because it creates this confusion and frustration.
Great.
Is there a way that you can share your message that's not specifically identifying? And I don't mean to coach your comment, I'm just trying to be
Yeah.
consistent.
So I think that what I'll say is that, without, without being able to say everything I wanted to say, it's unfortunate that recent criticisms risk diverting attention from the vital work we as administrators need to do. Many dedicated staff members have expressed a desire to publicly voice their support. However, concerns about potential union repercussions have made them hesitant. Several staff have reached out regarding an anonymous survey noting concerns about its confidentiality, specifically that they were contacted for not having completed it and feared that their input could be tracked or misrepresented. Misinformation continues to circulate in situations where there have been reductions in force. Accusations have arisen suggesting that decisions that have been made by administration was racially motivated. These claims ignore the fact that negotiated contracts includes provisions for seniority, and those with the least seniority are impacted. So despite the challenges, again, I think just providing some information about how things have worked. I want this to be known that I'm a proud supporter of our administration and of our leadership, and that the only way for us to move forward is through meaningful change. And we need to focus on the fact that we have a budget that was passed. The budget includes some cuts, some really deep cuts. And our goal at this point should be to be working about moving forward. And so that would be what my suggestion is. And I think that's it. I'll give you the rest of my letter. Thank you.
And please be careful.
Thank you. Dangerous. Do not trip. You made it.
I will do my best. Thank you. What's next? We have about 7 minutes left.
Hi, Beth Adrian. I live in Virginia, but I am co-president of the SBEA. As a representative of the SBEA, our mission is to provide the best possible education for our students. As you are aware, we undertook a listening tour at all, sorry, I forgot my glasses, I can't read my statement. Oh, so much better.
Louder, Beth. Louder.
Sorry. Okay. We have completed, as you are aware, we undertook a listening tour at all of the schools within the South Burlington School District. We have completed this tour with a participation rate of well over 75% of those represented by the SBA, which includes both teachers and support staff. Both members and non-members were asked 3 open-ended questions: positive aspects of their job, what issues and challenges are making their job difficult, and what changes they would like to see to improve the working conditions for themselves and learning outcomes for students. Last week, we presented the results to our membership. Educators across our district emphasize that students and colleagues keep them returning to school every single day. Our findings showed that folks across the district reported that watching their students grow, both academic and socially, brought them joy. Our educators noted the commitment to student learning by their colleagues. This commitment to colleagueship was cited as a primary resource for improving their own practice and motivation to be their best every day. When folks were asked what issues or challenges made their job more difficult, the overwhelming consensus was the central office administration.
Point of order. Because you're broaching in areas of, I'm chairperson, I feel that they're broaching in areas that belong in negotiations, working conditions, and I ask that they move on to a different topic.
Wow.
So I think so I'm Noah Everett. I live in Heinsberg, co-president. We came here tonight to express ourselves and try to work in a collaboration with this board. We understand where you are and we appreciate what you've shared with us around negotiations. We respectfully disagree as the fundamental feedback we're trying to offer, as we've had tried to offer through many different channels with the board, and have been left only public comment as our way to speak candidly with you as ultimately the supervisor of our supervisor. If it is the board's intention not to hear us in this public forum, then we'll be forced to take it to just the public forum of the community. And so we have people here who are prepared to share their personal stories. It is abundantly clear that there is an attempt to censor that flow of information. So we will leave, but what we request is that you consider how it is you will find out the experiences of these people in doing the work day to day, because it is abundantly clear that it is not getting up to you in a way that you can digest. We need leadership that we can trust and rely on, and that is not present. And that is what people are saying. Thank you.
Deserve a voice. Yeah. Thank you for your comments.
Or any other public comment in the room or online?
Aquilas Lakosu, is this on? Aquilas Lakosu. So I just want to say, first off, I'm new to this district, but I'm not new to advocating for what's right. And I'm not going to stand here and let all of this happen, because this cannot happen. I'm not new to advocating for what's right, but and I'm also not new to shedding light on what's wrong. This school board is wrong. A couple of weeks ago, the superintendent directed the assistant principal to ask me if I was influencing students.
Point of order.
If I was influencing
Mr.
students.
Locoso,
Yeah,
Point of order, please. This is an ongoing personnel matter. This is not an appropriate.
this is not a personal matter at all, actually.
It's a personnel matter.
Okay.
So it's not appropriate to discuss this in a public forum.
What
Okay.
is? When is?
Personnel
When
matter.
do-
So anyways, the superintendent directed the acting principal, John Craig, to ask me if I was influencing students
The board is gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, we'll wait.
You've given no other means of communication. There have been attempts to send letters with no response, so I'd be very curious where is the appropriate platform to speak.
I just don't think that's
I
gonna.
would also like to know the appropriate platform to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a recess. We're gonna come back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so, hold on one second.
Someone mute the lawyer. Might want to mute the lawyer.
Just an announcement, I made way too many chocolate chip cookies. So please help yourself. So many. Not enough people. So.
Fernando's make good cookies, right? They're still warm.
They are.
I'm glad something in here still.
Thank you so much. Yes. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's not really common though. It's not really common. It's not personal. There's 65 members, 65 teachers, and staff in the building. It's not a complaint. So everyone must, this is not a quiet thing. This is not personal matter at all. What are you asking of me?
What I'm saying is, meetings are not the place for personnel matters. Board meetings are not the place for meetings with.
What are you asking of me?
I'm asking you to respect the policies that we have about confidentiality. Your protection as well as anyone else's.
I'm protesting. I don't. You don't need to worry about, you don't need to worry about protection. I'm all set. Like, I'm currently covering this district next year. I'm not here next year. I'm not the door, so it's okay.
If they don't want to follow the policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else set? All right, we are going to resume the meeting. It is 6:36. We are to be on to discussion items at 6:40, and we haven't heard our student representative report yet, so we can do 4 more minutes for public comment, and then we need to move on.
Can I start again? It's just how subtracted.
Please.
Akilis Lukosi, school counselor. So Again, I'm new to this district, but I'm not new to advocating for what's right. And I'm also not new to shedding light what's wrong. The school board is wrong, the school board is wrong, the superintendent is wrong. A couple weeks ago, the superintendent directed John Quebec to,
Please let me be very clear. I'm the chair of this meeting and I'm not allowing personnel matters at this meeting.
okay,
So please move on to the next subject.
there is no next subject.
And we'd like to hear from the next speaker with the remaining time that we have for public comment.
Okay. The superintendent asked John Quebec to ask me if I was influencing students to write a letter.
Recess for 5 minutes.
We're listening.
Yeah, we're listening.
Go ahead.
You want to hear it?
So, the superintendent directed John Quebec to ask me if I was influencing students to write letters to the superintendent. And my initial reaction was, did you ask the other members, the other staff at the school who had had students advocate on their behalves? I asked John Quebec that. His answer was no. Violet did not ask me to ask other individuals, and that is wrong, and that is not okay. And I wonder why you're not treating me like you're treating like.
Legal counsel to explain why we don't discuss personnel matters, especially ongoing ones, in public comment or in the public forum. Mr. McNeil, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thanks.
So board members, the board has adopted a policy that is consistent with policies that are adopted by school boards across Vermont, really across the country. And that is that when a complaint or request for an inquiry is received, that suggests the violation of one or more policies, the employer in this situation is obligated to do an inquiry. And that inquiry, according to policy and procedure, is to be carried out as confidentially as possible, partially for the benefit of the complainant, partially for the benefit of the respondent, and partially for the benefit of individuals who may be witnesses, have pertinent information to share in connection with the inquiry. In connection with the inquiry that the gentleman was just speaking about, the board, through your leadership, took the matter seriously and made the determination to appoint an independent, experienced, seasoned attorney to conduct this inquiry to determine whether, in fact, the policies of the district are being adhered to and have been adhered to. And for the benefit of the protections that I mentioned, that process is to occur as confidentially as possible. And it involves interviews, it involves analysis, and it involves recommendations, all of which will terminate before this very board. So to discuss publicly what is being considered as a part of an inquiry pursuant to your policies would be inappropriate. And it would be inappropriate for practical protections. It would be contrary to the policies and would be contrary to what both the Vermont and the US Supreme Court have said about the way these inquiries should go. So I would advise the board members that the chair was acting correctly this evening in suggesting and declining to hear comment publicly on a matter that is being formally inquired into on behalf of you all ultimately. And I'm happy to take any questions that you may have, but I can assure you that neither the administration nor the board has taken this matter lightly and is dealing with it in the established fashion in an appropriate manner.
Joe. My next question is, by statute, how much more public comment am I legally supposed to allow? Because at this point, our meeting is quite off track. Is it legally acceptable for me to end public comment and move on to the next agenda item?
I would say that if there is time left for public comment on other matters, that is certainly within your discretion. But as it relates to this matter, I think your determination is the correct one and you should move beyond it.
Board members, we are now 25 minutes past our public comment agenda time. And we have an auditor who's on at 8:05 to discuss 2.4 with us. And we also have an executive session. So at this time, I would like to recommend and suggest that we move on. Are there any board objections to that?
I'd like to just hear a little bit more, maybe not about personnel things that we can't hear. Obviously, that's not appropriate in this venue, but if there's anything else that you want to hear that or say that's not going to violate any of those rules.
Great. How much longer would we like to give public comment?
On the stakes.
Yeah, why do we have to put a time?
Why is there a limit?
More time than we did.
I said go to 7 o'clock.
On Chelsea.
7
to 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, and then we could at that point, and then maybe we have to strike some of these agenda items.
Yeah.
I too have to get up at 5:15 and teach children, so.
I'd like to remind everyone of our public guidelines about being civil and respectful and not identifying a specific person. So we have 14 more minutes for public comment. Please follow the guidelines and use that time as you will.
Hi, my name is Megan Sweet, and I just want to, I'm not going to comment on the personnel matter details, but I think it's important context to express why there's a level of frustration when the complaint and feedback was submitted by Achilles and by the South Burlington High School teachers. And on the form, it says we will receive a response in 72 hours. We waited 7 days before we got even an acknowledgement of receipt of the complaint. So we were left feeling that this board was not interested in hearing or responding to very serious concerns brought to you by a tremendous number of your employees. So I just think it's important to name that in the minutes. And in the response we got this week, almost 2 weeks later, telling us there was going to be an independent investigation, here we are heading into break, still not having heard from any attorney that they are scheduling these meetings. So as you can tell, there's a lot of good reason, I think, for the level of frustration that we all are feeling, and I think you're seeing it here tonight.
I'm happy to respond to some of this. So
Good evening. Thank you. I'll be brief. My name is Gary Russell. I teach at Butler Middle School, and I'll direct my comments to the school board as the superintendent. I initially came tonight to support my colleagues with no intention of speaking at all. However, I discovered that there are two male colleagues that are not returning to our district next year. This does not have anything to do with personnel matters, I'm not using any specific names. And another currently on administrative leave, all of which are people of color, which significantly decreases the number of Black males in our district. At a time when the diverse needs of our students is at its greatest. Some questions I have are, it's a fact that people of color employed by this district is decreasing. And the question is, are you aware of this as an issue? Due to the fact that we have an increasing diverse population in our district of people of color. If you are aware of this, then what action steps are you putting in place to rectify this situation? If you are not aware of this, then where are the protocols in place to monitor this situation so that you, the board, can address this significant decrease of diverse staff in an appropriate manner? The fact that this situation exists is disturbing to not only me as a person of color, but to other SB people of color as well. And, our white colleagues and allies. As it appears, it doesn't matter. What is also disturbing is how one of my colleagues, Kila Sokusu, was treated after he filed a complaint on a separate matter with your Human Resource Department. My understanding is that with complaints of this nature, there's supposed to be a response within 72 hours of the complaint being filed. Correct me if I'm wrong. If stating that the district did not offer a response within the stated time. Regardless of whether he's a person of color or not, he deserves a reply within the time that you stated. These are your rules, not his. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, as it appears that his rights do not matter. I'm speaking to request that the superintendent and the school board address these disturbing situations and to correct the record on anything that I've stated this meeting tonight. Thank you.
My name is Lindsay Hudson. I have been an employee at South Burlington School for 14 years. I practiced this and timed it under 2 minutes, and I have to change it up a little bit so I follow the guidelines, so bear with me. In November, for the first time in my career, I found myself needing to engage with our district's feedback process form, which has been talked about this evening, in order to document an experience around conduct and questionable decision-making from a district leader that I could not overlook. This process has any district-related concern go directly to the superintendent. There were some emails exchanged in response. I asked directly that the response as outlined by the process be completed, which is the internal feedback resolution section of the form. I also requested that someone in a supervisory role be included. That did not happen. The final communication in response to my concerns was that they were dismissed as disagreements that the board could not be bothered with. Where is the accountability around supervision and evaluation of performance? How are employees supposed to be able to provide feedback? I will provide you with that official complaint from November so you are aware of it, along with the blank internal feedback resolution process page, which was never completed. Next, I would like to mention that my colleague in CAS, Megan Sweet, has been a clear and steady voice this year, addressing numerous instances of incorrect data and poorly articulated reasoning behind decisions to cut critical student-facing supports. I have experienced her professional and fact-based reasoning to be dismissed by district leadership. I would like to be on the record in my public support of Megan's advocacy for student needs and supports essential in the schools. Harmful narrative dismissing real concerns as disgruntled employees and disregard for process of employee feedback has contributed to the current negative climate in the South Burlington School District. I love my job, the students, my building colleagues, and my building administrators. I am frustrated by the current district leadership.
My name is Clarissa Gold. I'm a science teacher at the high school. You spent a lot of time talking to your lawyer, Joe McNeil, and you have spent no time talking to Achilles about what has happened to him. You have come up with a myriad of reasons as to why we cannot discuss these matters, and you have not come up with an apology for the hurt that you caused someone that is valuable to our district. You read it.
Came here today with a statement that I'm not going to be able to read. It was about the preferential treatment I feel I've been receiving as a white person in this district. When I asked for maternity leave, it was granted. It was denied a colleague. When I asked to be on a hiring committee, it's always granted. When remarkable colleagues are refused. When I ask for time off, it's never questioned, while other colleagues are told they have to take unpaid leave. And when things feel hard, I have been responded to in ways that my colleagues have not. It took me a long time to really listen to the folks behind me and understand what was happening because their experience was not mine. I was having a radically different experience than them. What I'm asking you tonight is to please believe them. Don't let as much time go by as I did. Please trust and understand that our experiences are different because there is differential treatment in this district. Thank you. Brought my own timer. Won't read all of this because I timed what I can read within 2 minutes. I might have to go fast. My name is Polly Vanderputten. I'm a resident of Burlington. My perspective tonight is informed by working as a world language teacher at SPHS, by serving as a school commissioner in a neighboring district, and by being a graduate of South Burlington Public Schools. I am deeply invested in this community on both a personal and a professional level. Regarding the long-term implications of eliminating a program or RIFs, I have been thinking about something I have consistently been reminded about in my time serving on a school board, that the primary responsibility of a school board is to hire and evaluate the superintendent according to how the superintendent responds to direction from the board around the goals and criteria for the school district, and that those goals and criteria are established by the board. The board must plan with a long-term vision in mind that keeps student achievement, opportunity, and well-being central to its core objectives. The superintendent then works with district staff and the community to execute the vision of the board with regular updates to report about, reflect on, and refine those objectives. In voting on proposed budgets, I have also learned an important lesson, that while the school board does have to steward taxpayer dollars and decide on responsible budgets, it must steward those taxpayer dollars in an effort to maintain and cultivate programming it deems valuable to the district and the community. The budget process is not only about line item numbers and percentages and FTEs, but about what those numbers translate to in terms of curriculum and opportunities for students in the district. Every program or FTE reduction risks diminishing returns in terms of what the district students can strive for and achieve. With this in mind, I ask the board to consider whether the RIFs and program eliminations of this budget, which include the Japanese program at SPHS and our ties to Futaba High School, do in fact align with the long-term vision for the district. More urgently, I also ask that the board explore ways to keep Japanese at SPHS within the voter-approved budget so that the SBSD can continue to build on a proud tradition rather than dismantling it. The SBSD has worked for nearly 20 years to cultivate and support a program that is a beacon of hope and peace in an increasingly volatile world. We need this program more than ever before to continue to educate our students and our community about the importance of Japan and Japanese culture, and for Americans, our students, to be open-minded, tolerant citizens of the world.
Hi, my name is Monica Regan. I'm a resident of Fairfax, and this is my 5th year teaching at Orchard in 5th grade. During my first years in the district, I felt very welcomed and supported, which was during COVID when I couldn't even meet the majority of my colleagues due to social distancing. I felt the culture and environment in our district shift drastically in a negative direction in the last few years. My colleagues and I have felt demoralized and dismissed. I've wanted to be a teacher for over half of my life. And this year, I've never contemplated quitting more. Supporting young teachers is a duty of administrators, especially when facing an unprecedented teacher shortage. This is due to the increased responsibilities given to classroom teachers. It is disheartening to know that I'm losing colleagues who work with students every day while administration adds assistance to the budget and gets large pay raises. I am still in the beginning of my career and I struggle to see how I can continue to teach in the toxic environment that this district has created. This district is losing passionate and talented educators with valuable experience and will continue to do so if things do not change.
Sure. I want to thank you all for the work that you do every single day in support of students. And you are right, it is not easy, and we are in difficult times. I want to acknowledge and provide Achilles with a response, which I think he deserves. When the board and I received emails that were coming in patterns we've not received before with consistent natures, I had no choice but to exercise my professional responsibility, which is to ensure that no staff member is using power differential to influence students for personal gain. This is a universal responsibility of administrators. And based on the information that had been emailed by the board, this was prudent. I performed this due diligence. Mr. Craig had a conversation. However, no discipline was administered. Sorry, I will wrap that. I want to be very clear that I strongly support and uphold our DEI anti-racism efforts. And we will continue to move forward with those. And I'm happy to, connect with folks further. I know that public comment is over, but if folks want to connect, central office staff and I are going to be coming to schools, and we're happy to hear from you at any time. Thank you.
Can I ask a clarifying question to that? Or
Sorry, no.
am I allowed to ask a clarifying question on that
Didn't
statement?
you email your clarifying question to the board?
Did I just say it while I'm here right now?
That comment is over. We're moving on.
I just wanted to say, a lot of people left in that, it's their choice. I just wanted to say, I would really like it if people who brought something prepared tonight and couldn't speak could email it to the board. If they, and everyone who's watching, or just tell other people too, because I apologize that the time does not allow for more than that time. So I want to hear, we all want to hear.
Board members, I'd like to move on to our focus on student learning, but before that, I'd like to suggest that we move discussion items A and C to our next meeting and strike them for this evening. And just keep the update on public comment advisory committee. Is that good? Seamus? Okay, so we're gonna strike discussion items A and C and add them to our next meeting. And maybe that will get us some of our time back. All right, with that, Ally, our student representative report.
Thank you. Gracie is not here to able to be here today, but I'm going to give you guys the announcements. I'd like to remind the community that the SBSD Fine Arts Night is happening as we speak. If you have the chance to head over to the high school before 8 p.m., you'll have the opportunity to experience some of the students' amazing work that they've done. May 2nd is an exciting day for freshmen at the high school. Ninth graders will participate in Community Service Day, where all advisories will help out with various tasks around the community and spend some quality time together. This is an amazing opportunity for students at the high school to connect, and everyone is super excited for it this year. And April vacation is also coming up next week for all SBSD students. So schools will be closed from April 21st through the 25th, and school will resume on the 28th. We can't wait to see you back. Thanks.
All right, so that brings us to agenda item 5, discussion items, and we are going to discuss our public comment advisory committee update. On this committee, we have school board directors Seamus, and Laura, and Jennifer. So we would all like to provide an update to the board.
Okay, so we have heard, unfortunately, I know Mr. Gable has left, but have definitely heard from the community that we need to do more in the space of public engagement and community engagement and public communication. And there's a lot of information out there. We have the South Burlington School District Communication Plan. There is the VSBA has policy governance information on community engagement and vision, and also on public communication and public participation at board meetings. And what we have done is Seamus, Laura, and I have been working together to try and synthesize, harmonize that information and integrate it into our policy that we have currently in order to improve that visibility and transparency regarding how the public can engage. And one of the things that we are looking at doing is, in addition to having public board meetings as we do, but we're also looking at having community forums that would be an opportunity for the public to engage. And so that would hopefully help scratch some of the itches and frustration that the community has, that they don't have the opportunity to exchange as much. Now, I know there is donuts and discussion that happen, but we're looking at having, and this would be something to supplement that as well, just another channel for the community to participate. And then we're also planning to provide an update. I know we have some communication here in our agenda. I've got so many pieces of paper, but we're also looking at improving our meeting guidelines for the community, so people know what to do when they show up at a session, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And so people have more, it's a little bit longer than what we've got, but so that would be available. So I'm hoping that we're going to probably get together again here soon and then have some recommendations for the board to look at and to vote on, or whatever it is that we're going to do, so we can adopt that. Seamus, Laura, anything to add?
Just that we're specifically thinking about addressing the criticism of the listening sessions.
Yes.
Board members for the committee.
I was just gonna say, I did do a little research on other ways that we could communicate with the public community. And so I'd love to talk to you guys a little bit more about different ideas of workshops and interactive back and forth that we could do.
I think for what it's worth, my understanding of the scope of the committee is that it's limited to public comment at meetings. And I would love to talk about like ownership linkage and community engagement, but for what it's worth, I think that this committee is not scoped to do that. That's just my opinion. I'm not.
I mean, there's a lot to do in this space, I think. And there is, VSBA, there's the public comment at board meetings. And like I said, there's the community engagement, and we're trying to harmonize all of that just to provide, because I feel like it's too difficult to navigate right now. And I think some of what we need to do is just simplify it, distill it and simplify it and say, here's how the board engages with the community and how the community engages with the board. And here's how we, you know, take in public comment and synthesize that and how that's, you know, weighed into factors that the board is weighing, you know, making decisions based on that. And then there's other components as well, like, you know, our social media, what we're doing in the social media space, what we're doing with those forums, what we're doing with newsletters and whatever it is, you know, so it's all of that, not just the pushing it out to the community, but it's the pulling it back and how that's working. So we need more of this, right?
My perspective, you know, having served on this board for a little over 3 years now, is each constitution of board has had different ideas about how public comment should be attended to. And I think that the community cannot be expected to follow along and see, well, how is this board going to do it? How is this board going to do it?
Right.
So I think these like materials, this copy that you're perhaps providing, can help educate future board members about how public comment is to be done, and help be a commitment to the community about how it will be consistently done in the future. I think what has happened, at least in my experience, is the human of the board member wants to make sure that people are heard, and then the organizer of the board member wants to keep order. And so like, how do you, and so I'm really excited about this update, and I hope that we're on
The right path. And I do think to that point, I mean, this is something that is going to not be ephemeral, that it's going to be popping up here and there, but it's going to really, our hope is that we're going to memorialize something that's there. And again, it's taking all of this information from all these places and not trying to recreate a wheel, because a lot of this stuff exists with what the VSBA has done. But I think the most important thing is for the community to hear, you know, that we are working on this, and give us some time to get it together. I mean, we're still a new board, a lot of us, but we're pulling this together and there will be information forthcoming. And my recommendation is that what we create is also something that the community has a chance to see, because you're stakeholders, and this is really important, right? I'm talking to you, sorry. But you know, the stakeholders that, you know, that they have an opportunity to see this and say, yes, this is, you know, it hits the mark, or this is where we still need some improvement, right? So anyway, just wanted to say that.
And I mean, with the rules that we put out, yes, the public's expected to adhere to them, but we have to adhere to them as well. Because last week, the gentleman who was not allowed to speak was going to discuss something that was on the agenda item. He waited for the agenda item to speak and was not allowed to speak. So that's on us.
Right.
Because that
We
was,
need to
yeah,
do-
that was a
we need to
discussion
adhere
item.
to our
Yeah.
own- I'm sorry?
Well, that was on a discussion item, and you generally don't take public.
It was
comment
on an
discussion
action
items.
item on the agenda.
Well, so this is, I think this is a perfect example of where the confusion happens. As I read through the guidelines tonight, it definitely hit me a little bit, like, comments should not be related to the agenda items, but can be made during the discussion of an agenda item. So public comment on the agenda is meant to be a time for the community to come speak about something that they want the board to be aware of that might not be on our agenda. And there have been times where we take public comment on every agenda item, and then following feedback that our meetings were too long, then the guidance was perhaps we only take public comment on agenda items that are up for action, so that the board has, and the community has like that last chance to offer the community perspective before the board takes action, with the thought being discussion items, there's no action being taken. So community can listen to board discussion and then email or try to reach out. But it's a perfect example of how we said one thing, we did a different thing, and it's so frustrating. So
So, yeah, that was the point. I mean, what we said was, we didn't say action items, we said agenda items.
you're right.
But even if we went to the action items rules, the item that the gentleman wanted to discuss was an action item from last week. It was treatment of the community. And from what he said and what he emailed to us after he was not allowed to speak, the majority of it was treatment of the community. So he should have been allowed to speak, in my opinion.
I'd like to move that we move on and let the committee do our work, and because this isn't, I don't find this productive.
Anything else on this discussion item?
Stay tuned, more to come.
With that, we have reports by the school board. I don't have any reports. Does anyone else have any reports that isn't a violation of open meeting law to report without warning?
I was gonna share out some of the stuff I had researched, but I'll do that with the committee.
Okay.
You don't need to do it here.
So with that, we're gonna move on to agenda item 7, superintendent's report.
Thank you. So I have been connecting with legislators in the area, Bridget Burkhart in particular, around scheduling a forum. We're still doing a lot of advocacy work, and we're watching a lot of the changes happening at the state, which dramatically impact schools. So something that I'm charged with keeping a very close pulse on. So we're looking at tentatively the 30th for scheduling that April 30th at 7 p.m. That's tentative at this point. We'll let you know how that pans out, but that would be an opportunity for all community members to come and to engage with their elected officials on some of the important issues. Spoiler alert, it will be ed centered. So looking at some of the changes impacting education in particular. So wanting to make that opportunity available to engage community in. So mark your calendars now as a placeholder for April 30th at 7 p.m. Speaking of engagement, we are in the middle of conducting our panorama survey for staff, families, and students. These are important for us to learn feedback so that we can make changes to support those we serve. So encourage folks to check those out. We also are going to be, central office teams and I are going to be engaging with staffs in buildings on a quarterly basis. So all of the central office teams are going to be in buildings, and we're looking forward to connecting with staff. These are just open-ended opportunities to listen and hear feedback and engage with those we serve. So hope folks can come out for those. We're excited to get in schools now that we've got the budget passed. It's it's nice to be in buildings and with kids as much as possible. Always. Finally, I want to share an update regarding budget development and engagement for fiscal year 27. I know you're thinking, Violet, we've only just passed our fiscal year 26 budget, which starts July 1st of this year. Given the difficult scenario that we are facing financially based on ed funding formula changes, we have found it prudent to engage with a third party to facilitate really robust community engagement around the fiscal year 26 budget, as well as to use data to really drive down and be making decisions based on all kinds of different data. We see this as a way that we can increase community engagement, staff participation, and really develop an equity-centered budget that uses data as a backbone for all decisions. So Toussaint Partners is going to be facilitating that process. We engaged with them in the fall at a Vermont Superintendents Association meeting where folks were sharing best practices regarding budgeting. And we happened to connect with the Burlington superintendent who utilized them to prop up the practice, which they've used for several years now. So given the dynamic that we are in and how, we absolutely are in a time where we've faced bidder reductions for 3 years and we're looking at more of the same going forward. I mean, if you use inflation and insurance costs alone, that would mean reductions. So I'm very excited to begin that work. There is a survey, and we're going to begin now, engagement. So there's a survey that's live on our website. Would encourage folks to check that out and look for more information and updates on that. And I'll note too, we were able to use fiscal year 25 surplus funds for this. So this is not something that was budgeted for the fiscal year 26. That concludes my report. Happy to take any questions from the team. James.
So the community engagement aspect of their help with the budgeting process, is that principally to collect feedback? Does it also include communication about plans, marketing support, stuff like that? Like what?
Yeah, great question. So not marketing support, but definitely facilitated and structured community engagement. So beginning with the survey that's out right now, there's going to be an advisory group that has teachers and principals and community members and all kinds of folks on it, but it's not going to be the development of budgeting materials. Their role is really supporting the development of a robust budget based on use of data. So they'll look at our financials now that we have Tyler, our financial software implemented. So we've got some good data now. I think I said before, they turned us away in the fall because we didn't have our system fully implemented. So it feels good to be at a place where we can really say, all right, let's dig into this, have some really effective, structured, facilitated community engagement and combined with the use of data. So encourage folks to check out the survey. That's going to be kind of the first way that they can gather information to move forward.
So is this Toussaint you're talking about? Yeah, so I guess it's a done deal, is that correct? Yeah, it just, and it just seems like a lot of money in this climate to pay for that for, so it's like budget development and engagement. I mean, maybe I've missed something, but I thought that's something that we could do. We have to have an outside source do that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this is something that we see bigger districts doing. And, Burlington was in a scenario where they were hearing feedback about their budget processes. And I think we heard a lot of feedback around our budget process as well, and engagement. And so this felt like a really important and worthy expenditure. Again, we used surplus funds from this fiscal year. Just given that we want to engage folks in the development process, I think honestly could in the end lead to more engagement and hopefully a wider margin for community support for passing our budgets. So I think it's one of these things where those who I've talked to who used partnered with Toussaint have really reported increased community support and awareness. And I think that's something that we could certainly use here is engaging our school community and wider community as effectively as we possibly can. And that's worthwhile. Seamus.
I think benchmarking is very important. I think it's a good way for all of us to see how we compare to other districts in the county, in the state, in the nation. Is this something that is benchmarking going to be possible in the next budgeting round?
Yeah, absolutely. So things like cost of like per pupil spending or tax rate information, are those the kinds of benchmarking that you're referring to?
Yeah, and does Toussaint help with the benchmarking?
We haven't discussed that with them. Tim, jump in if you've got further to add on that. That's.
We literally just
Yeah.
So it starts with the survey, and we're going to go from there. This is not something that's going to be done baseline. And I think one of the things that happened last year when we tried to do a survey, it kind of goes to Laura's point about can we do this ourselves. We had very low response rates. We had a very challenging time. Anyone volunteer to work with the finance committee. And I think that Toussaint is bringing in a proven process that has worked with not just Burlington, but many other school districts to have a structured approach to community engagement and involvement in the development of the budget from the very early part of the year, and not just, like we did in November, like we start the budget and a few weeks later. So I've been impressed with both the process that they have proposed, as well as the output. I don't know about if you shared presentation that we gave this,
I didn't, I could share that.
Do you mind just paraphrasing?
Yeah, I was just asked to paraphrase what you said since you weren't at the mic. So Tim Jarvis, Senior Director of Finance, reporting that we're just at the onset of the process, that he believes the engagement will be important given the low again, I'm Tim's words. We received low responses to our surveys and the engagement that the district and the board tried to facilitate the finance committee wasn't as robust as we would have liked for many reasons. And that we're just at the onset of the process, and I'm happy to share the presentation that Toussaint gave to the Vermont Superintendent's Association to provide more information to the board.
You can answer a question or? Sorry, I just wanted to make sure anyone listening could hear what Tim was saying. And then did you ask her to expand on something?
No.
VSA thing.
Share the VSA slides with the board. Got it. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Any other questions or comments for Superintendent Nichols? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That brings us to a placeholder for a brief recess. Would the board like a brief recess? So now we find ourselves slightly ahead of schedule.
We can start with 2.4. Ron, are you on the call?
So we're moving to agenda item 9, action items, monitoring report
I don't think he is, by the way.
Okay.
I sent him an email telling him that we were coming.
Okay.
So monitoring report 2.4, financial condition and activities, audit review. Do you want to open with telling us about your report? And I'm sure we will have plenty of questions, and then we can save some of our questions for the auditor, perhaps, if that's more appropriate.
Sure. I might also suggest we could look at items, modifying the agenda, should the board wish to look at items 10 and 11, so that we could continue with the audit. I'm happy to read it right. What would the board like?
I think that makes more sense.
Whatever keeps us on time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well then, why don't we skip ahead to agenda item 10, agenda planning, set our agenda for May 2nd and May 7th. So I recommended that we move 2 of our discussion items from tonight to the next agenda. And since anyone listening might have logged off thinking we're not going to discuss that tonight, I think that should hold. So I'm suggesting that we add that to our discussion items for May 7th, which is our next regular school board meeting. The 2nd is our retreat. Any objections to that?
No.
Does everyone have a draft of our May 7th agenda? We won't be able to discuss school board retreat planning because we will have had our retreat by the 7th. So in talking about setting our agenda for the retreat, do board members have anything that they would like to see different from the current May 2nd retreat agenda? Tim?
I just have one thought after looking at this. I'm wondering if it might be possible to add in a few minutes just to hear from individual board members on what they would like to see the goals of the board be for the current year. I know we list our goals on the website. I don't know if those have been updated, but I think it's an important time for us to each, since it will be a public open meeting, I think it's a great time for us to share some of our individual perspectives and thoughts about what we would like to achieve going forward.
Where would you recommend we perhaps put that?
I didn't get that far.
I'm just looking at, I'm wondering if that would be an appropriate discussion after our policy review, or if it would be a better in our communications plan discussion. The work plan.
Section
5. And would someone volunteer to organize some sort of means for board members to write what they're going to bring for the potluck, so we don't have 7 sourdough loaves?
Well, I wouldn't mind that.
I don't see a problem with that.
I personally am like beyond capacity with board work, so if someone could.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I have Emily organizing who's bringing what for the potluck. And we are adding board vision goals to agenda item 5.
Yes.
Yes.
One thing, I mean, I've talked with folks at VSBA about this and others, and I understand you have to warn it, but the feedback that I'm getting is it doesn't have to be recorded. I mean, I feel like that might be more than what we need to do. So just as an idea, like, I don't know that that's something that we need to be doing. I mean, you can warn, you got your minutes, but you don't necessarily have to record the retreat.
Seamus. See if your hand up.
Oh, are you gonna follow up on that question?
Well, so actually, I don't want to put Joe on the spot, but I know Joe is on the call, and I was just going to bring up the email that I sent and maybe ask him to address that email now, if he's up for it, but he's also been pretty busy. Joe, are you available to answer an open meeting question? I did not ask him to be like on for this part, but I did,
But that's something maybe you can follow up with that.
I think it's still gonna come down to a matter of what we think is best practice, technically the law and the chilling effect and Seamus.
So in terms of agenda planning, is the treatment of staff being monitored on May 2nd? Or May 7th?
Great question. May 7th.
2.2.
To have it on.
2.2.
Is anybody concerned that it may be hard to do treatment of staff while all the stuff that's going on is still happening?
My main concern would be that the board has the space to monitor the policy, ask questions, and learn without disruption. Do you have a recommendation?
Just feels like it seems like something that we might want to push a little bit.
Especially to like hear more. Yeah.
No, I recognize the concern. We are monitoring the policy. We are not monitoring temperature or anything like that, right? So I don't want to see us react in a way that would potentially be inappropriate. So
And I would say, yes, treatment of staff, yes, I think we've heard pretty clearly, even, directed at me, which I was kind of surprised about. I think we should give it all of our attention, and the continuous improvement plan, take that out. I mean, I just think there's too much on that agenda, and if we're gonna give it, I think we heard that we need to pay attention to this. So take the other thing out and let's pay attention to it. That's what I would say.
One concern I have about that is that continuous improvement plan has to be approved by a certain time by the board for legal, like for statutory, right?
For the Agency of Education to release our title funds, which is a significant amount of funding. We have to upload the minutes to show that that step has been taken.
right? Well, then I think that maybe, these discussion items, 6:35 to 7:15, I don't think it needs to be that long. Need to condense there. And make sure we give these things their due, because, yeah, that's what I would say. And, recess, forget 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah.
I just saw that you had raised.
Oh, I was just gonna share that in order to receive our federal funds, we needed to have the CIP approved.
Yeah, I was, in terms of my suggestion that we push treatment of staff, I think that we should consider the politics of, let's say that according to our policy, we're in compliance with a reasonable interpretation, but then that's getting voted on in the same meeting where we're still hearing, from staff about their feelings. I think that it might just not be the right time to have both things happen on the same day. So it's just a thought that if there was if we could swap one of the monitoring, it might be politic.
So what I'm hearing is having both on the same meeting is potentially going to make the meeting too long. And the continuous improvement plan has a date that it needs to be considered by for title funding. So is it reasonable to consider moving 2.2 treatment of staff to the 2nd May meeting? So not next meeting, but the meeting after that.
What day would that be?
May 21.
Again, I understand where Seamus is coming from. I disagree with moving the monitoring report simply because we are afraid of the perception. We have a responsibility to monitor, and I believe we can accomplish this in a single meeting. Again, feedback is always going to be here. We are always going to deal with, large, potentially lively meetings as we've seen this evening. And to let that drive an agenda and the work that we're responsible for accomplishing, I don't think that's an appropriate change to make. There are certainly circumstances where we may want to move monitoring reports, but I just disagree with moving it because we feel like it may be taken incorrectly or interpreted incorrectly.
Did I miss something? Do we not have a meeting on the 30th, April 30th, in 2 weeks?
I don't think so. 2 a month, not necessarily every other week. And the vacation is, whenever there's a vacation in a month, it gets tricky, and it's not always, like sometimes we'll have a back-to-back meeting.
Okay.
So it'll impact the schedule.
And I agree with Laura, maybe we can just tighten up some of the times on some of the other agenda items, and that would give us enough time to handle both reports.
Board amenable to keeping both for the next and trying to not extend discussion beyond absolutely what is necessary to conserve time for our action items that are next meeting. And it sounds like, or do we want to strike the placeholder for a recess or just reduce it to 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Yeah, okay. Does the board have any more input on either the May 2nd or May 7th meetings? I have reduce recess and check times for the May 7th meeting. And I have add board vision goals to agenda item 5 for the retreat. And please reach out to or look out for organization from Emily about lunch for the retreat. Anything else for agenda planning at this time? So with that, are there any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the items on our consent agenda agenda item 11. Review, that's approval of minutes April 2nd, approval of 2/8 orders. We have some hires and resignations and an accounts payable order check. All is good, no questions?
I have a quick question. So in the approval of the minutes, were those, I remember seeing them before, but were those sent out again?
So they are linked in, commonly, we will get an email with our board packet, and anything that's not for public consumption is attached. And then there's just a link that brings you to the public website page that is with any documentation that is meant for public consumption. So if you go to documents, the documents.
Oh, I see it.
on-
Well, it's in tonight's.
Right.
It's in the, okay. Yep.
Yeah, and so at the
Okay.
very bottom, just, this is a great learning opportunity for anyone who might be listening. April 2nd, 2025 board meeting minutes unapproved as they're posted now. And then they'll be updated once they're approved. If there were any changes, anything like that. All right, any questions or comments? Hearing none, the consent agenda items are approved. So that brings us now to our only remaining agenda item for public session, which is agenda item 9, action items, and this is our monitoring report of 2.4. Superintendent Nichols, I'd like to turn this over to you to share what you'd like to share.
All right, great. Thank you so much. I'm going to invite Tim Jarvis, Senior Director of Finance, to the podium as well. So Ron of RH Smith is our auditor who is selected by the city and is a third-party auditor who has the task of reviewing all of our fiscal year 24 finances to review for, he's looking for any findings and would make recommendations. So we have Ron slated to come on at 8:05, but we do have the 2.4 monitoring report, which I'm happy to speak to. I want to start by giving the highlights of the audit. First and foremost, we have a surplus and it's a clean audit. So this is a really big celebration that we were able to have an exceptionally clean audit, which was even better than the fiscal year 23 audit, which we were proud to hear from Ron about. Highlights of the FY 24 audit is that we have a surplus of $291,294 for the fiscal year. This is significant because we don't want a surplus that is too high or, of course, a deficit. So, given this, margin of variance is 0.31%, this is showing exceptional financial management in support of our students and the community we serve. So I'm very proud of this audit. I think this is a really big celebration and a huge accomplishment for our district and our community. And it shows the exceptional management and use of the funds that our community approved. I want to thank Tim Jarvis, Michelle Baker, April Jennings, and our whole business office team for all of their work on this as well. Again, so I'm going to walk the board through the audit and introduce you to where I think are some of the highlights. So page 1, this is a clean audit. If you look at page 2, you're going to find auditor's responsibilities. So this tells you what the auditor is responsible for, and it helps you understand the scope and what they look like here. Pages 5 and 6 talk about the 2 different kinds of financial statements. For the purposes of our budget, you're looking at fund balance. That is the kind of financial statement that we use as a district. I've shared this $291,294 amount with you here. I'm going to share where the variances are coming for. So we did have on the revenue side some positive sources of variance for the general fund, which were special ed reimbursements, ZEMS impact fees coming in higher than expected. as was the case for fiscal year 23, and also interest on monies. So, those were all positives. On the expenditure side, excellent management of money by location, so building-based financial management. We had offsetting costs for special ed and Tyler project costs, which were minimal impact here. But we had debt servicing was one of the factors here. We didn't draw down on the entire $14.55 million budget bond that was approved. And so we didn't have some of the debt financing associated with that. Given that, in fiscal year 23, and as we've discussed with RFPs and bids, we've still been experiencing a shortage of those available to do work. So we, not drawing down on that bond was a money saver. So those are the highlights as far as the revenues and the expenditures go. This is a significant document in size, and the pieces that I think are most important, of this 121-page document are pages 1 through 12. And that's where the summaries are. And that gives you all of the conclusions and all of the financials are shown in pages 1 through 12. The remaining document is different ways of looking at figures and opportunities for folks who want to dig in to see how our finances were looked at in different ways. Significant amount of details through those. So
just so you know, Violet, Ron just emailed me and says he's ready to dial in.
Perfect, great. So I will introduce Ron, but I want to report that we have no material concerns whatsoever, and we have a surplus. And again, the variance is 0.31, which is really a feather in the cap to our district in that we were able to manage these funds so effectively in support of students, staff, and community. And I'm going to keep talking until you tell me Ron's on. How about that, Tim? All right. So looking now at 2.4 specifically, I am reporting. Do you want to take 2.4? Do you want me to do just the highlights?
Well, I mean, 2.4. I think you all have it, right? It's some of it is aligned to the audit and some of it isn't. Detail policy 1 is just an extract of the 121 pages between the general fund, special revenue funds, and total funds. And so I think you've largely covered the source of those variances. Detail policy number 2 is talking about incurring debt that cannot be repaid within a stipulated period of time. And in this case, during fiscal year 24, when the bond, when the voters approved the $14.5 million bond in March of, what would that have been, 23, we had a lot of summer projects going on that summer. Most significantly, the ZEMs, the zero energy modulars, were in full swing at that time, and we were incurring payments, invoices that were due to contractors, in addition to some other summer projects with roofing, paving, normal stuff that we do in the summer. The way the Vermont Bond Bank works is that they have 2 releases of funds during the year. They have one in August, and they would have one in February. And so, although the voters approved these funds at the March town meeting day vote, we did not actually have access to those funds until August 18th, I believe. I think the date is in here, August 10th, which is when the bond closure date happened. So between this summer work starting with the contractors and having invoices that needed to be paid, we did not yet have access to those bond funds, nor did we have the cash flow through normal operations to be able to pay those invoices. And it's not
atypical when you have a construction bond like this, that there is this timing gap. So essentially, we needed to have a bridge loan from our bank, TD Bank, for about a 2-month period to be able to borrow funds from TD Bank in order to be able to pay our contractors, which was secured by the bond. They wouldn't have even issued us this unless they knew that we had this bond proceeds coming from the Vermont Bond Bank. So that was short-term borrowing in the summer. That required a bond anticipation note. There's also something called a tax anticipation note. It's kind of the same concept. We get tax revenue from the city 3 times a year after they've collected the property taxes. And that's another example of when you would have short-term borrowing. And we have not had a tax anticipation note. This is a bond anticipation note, but it's the same concept. So that's why we had to do that. Business as usual. Detail policy 3 is talking about using long-term reserves. Capital Reserve Fund, which had, and we have our, exhibits corresponding to all these points too. It'll be easy for me to look at these. So exhibit 2 is from the audit, which shows that we have this $430,678 in our Capital Reserve Fund. Just a reminder, before fiscal year 22 or 23, this was $30,678. So the board had previously allocated $400,000 to it. And so when we talk about how much money do we have in our Capital Reserve Fund, and in the FY26 budget, you'll recall that we have allocated $250,000 that was passed. So as of July 1st, we will be journaling over and allocating $250,000 of the approved budget into this. And so we'll be up around $680,000 for our Capital Reserve Fund, which is our sort of rainy day fund for unanticipated capital expenses or capital improvements. So other than that, and because we did not expend any of that money in fiscal year 24, you'll see that in detail policy 3, we did not use any long-term reserves. The other thing, the other half of this is our support staff retirement fund. And this is something that we're going to discuss in a lot more detail next month when we do policy monitoring report 2.7, which is asset protection. But in the context of 2.4, you'll see in exhibit 3, the market value summary for fiscal year 24, where the fiscal year started with 545,000 plus money. This is money that we contribute to this fund as the employer. And we'll go more into the mechanics of how that happens because we use an actuary that gives us an estimate of how much money should we invest in this on a monthly basis to support our long-term pension obligations for this fund. This is a fund, by the way, that is no longer available to employees. It was, it's a defined benefit program that was set up, I'm not even sure exactly when it was set up, by a previous board for support staff members who were not part of the teachers' Visters pension fund. And it is kind of self-perpetuating. I mean, at a different time, and I think maybe we'll discuss this in more detail next month in asset protection. For the life of me, I'm not sure whose idea it was that we should be the plan sponsor of a pension fund. I would recommend that the board consider alternative measures and to outsource this to somebody else to manage, but it is what it is. And this money gets invested. We have an investment management contract with SEI, which is a large investment manager. So they will invest this money on our behalf, and they will oversee the disbursement of the retiree benefits as well. And so this exhibit 3 simply walks you through where did we go throughout the course of the year that
We had a starting balance, you'll see in the top right, of about $13.8 million. We contributed through our general fund, the $545,000. They made payments of $788,000. There is a investment management fee that comes out of it. There's income earned, there's realized gain and unrealized gain, ending with a balance at the bottom right of $15.1 million. So in reference to the detailed policy, that we did not use any of those, we did not spend any of these reserves ourselves. They were used for the purposes for which they're intended, which is paying benefits to the pension fund members, and the contractual investment management fee to SEI to manage the funds. And actually, you know, that year had a pretty good return of it earned income of $521,000 and paid out $788,000 in addition to other realized gains. So it actually did pretty well. But we'll go in, unless you have more questions, we'll go more into that when we discuss 2.7 next month. Next one is about interfund shifting, and Ron will probably be able to explain this better than I, but you'll see in Exhibit 4, and this comes from the audit as well, that we have a number of different funds. And we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about AP last year, or last meeting, but the general fund is our primary fund. And there are expenses that we pay out of this for our proprietary funds and enterprise funds. So the nutrition services, which is an example of one of our enterprise funds, Schools Out is another one. They don't actually have their own checking account per se. And so there's always going to be interfund transfers between the various funds that we have, because the general fund is sort of the master fund, if you think of it that way. But Exhibit 4 will show that there has been an equal and opposite. It's the way the accounting is set up for this, that there's payables to and payables from the various funds, and the expectation and the requirement is that those net out to zero, which you can see is the case in Exhibit 4. And it's explained a little bit in the evidence in the body of the report. Detail policy 5, failed to settle payroll and debts in a timely manner. This is really what we talked about for an hour at the last meeting, that, you know, we wanted to be very transparent and self-identify issues that we had with our accounts payable process, especially during fiscal year 24. Because during fiscal year 24 is when we did a mid-year migration to a new financial accounting system. And this place, quite frankly, was crazy in terms of, you know, we have a small business office staff, and they were spending up to 60 or more % of their time in training sessions on how to use the new system. And I will be the first to admit that some of the day-to-day housekeeping of other business office functions fell short of our expectations. And particularly in accounts payable. You know, there's a lot of daily, monthly, quarterly requirements that the business office has that were being satisfied, but accounts payable is one of those where you're not necessarily penalized for it. We were not incurring debit interest. In fact, we were probably earning more money by having the cash sit in our bank account and not paying the vendors than we would have from having debit interest or you know, late fees and things like that, which people were, our vendors and counterparties were generous with us that they did not. But, you know, there was no way that we were going to declare that we were in compliance with Detail Policy 5, because we weren't. There is an action plan at the end of the report, which we've talked about already, but you know, as we approach the end of fiscal year 25 in a few months' time, we are doing much better. We're virtually caught up and current on our accounts payables. We found
a number of aged invoices that had not been paid. We dedicated resources to focus on that and to catch up. And I think that, you know, once you're caught up in accounts payable, it's easy to to maintain it as long as you have focus on it. Seamus?
Is it faster with the new system?
Is it what?
Is it easier to keep up with accounts payable with the new system?
It's much easier. Yeah, and there's also more functionality available in the new system that we haven't taken advantage of. It's really accounts payable, it's an issue. It isn't just.
Sorry, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that you made a process improvement. It was painful, and then
yeah,
it's paying off.
It's paying off, and there's even better things to come, because we want to, as we talked about last time, we want to get rid of all this paper. You know, and to have a flow through work process that is electronic. And so person gets an invoice in their computer and clicks a button, as opposed to pieces of paper being faxed and emails being sent to the schools. And did you receive these pencils or not? And we're not going to pay for the pencils until you tell us that you have, and emails get screwed up and everything else, right? It's been a massively inefficient process. The good thing is that at this time of the school year, we stop allowing the schools to order more things, except through an exceptional basis, because there's only 2 months left of school, or maybe less than that. But so this is a good period in the year to be completely caught up in accounts payable, because you're not getting new purchase orders coming in all the time from the schools. So I think we've covered that. Detail policy 6 is talking about the timely payment of. I'm sorry.
So are you confident that next year this is not going to be an issue?
It has been an issue for the first half of fiscal year 25. It's not an issue. It won't be an issue for fiscal year 26.
It's currently not an issue either.
We're caught up.
So we've already.
We're almost caught up. We're close to being caught up. There was, mea culpa, we had a really challenging time in fiscal year 24 and the first half of fiscal year 25. Detail policy 6 is all about these obligations we have to file reports, pay taxes and whatnot. Exhibit 5 reflects that. When was the due date? When was it accomplished? There were 2 examples that we were 2 days late in making. One was a teacher's retirement quarterly report. One was paying payroll taxes. We were actually, no, the unemployment insurance. So we were 2 days late on 2 deliverables. So given the immateriality of that, we have claimed policy compliance. Detail policy 7 has to do with making unbudgeted purchases or commitments or hiring teachers above budget, which was not, we did not do those things in fiscal year 24. So we have declared policy compliance. Detail policy 8 is all about when Violet was talking about our surplus, this kind of walks you through the technical language associated with how that works. And this was a very interesting issue last year around this time, or around the time that the budget was approved for the 3rd time, because there had been a budget surplus from fiscal year 22, but because the audit hadn't been finalized yet, for like our first vote in March and our second vote in April, by the time the 3rd vote came around that year, the audit was, and it was around this time, the audit was finalized. And so we actually were able to have access to a new fiscal year surplus, which the board decided to apply as a revenue offset to expenditures, which is the default solution. In earlier votes, that year, we were contemplating whether we would allocate it to the capital reserve fund. Because originally it was $2.27 million, and then we got about another $700,000 surplus. So it turned out to be about $3 million. And so when we were doing the budget this year and doing our budget development, this is something that really killed us, you know, in terms of not having that surplus available to drive down the tax rate and making it look as if our tax rate was increasing disproportionately because we were starting in the hole. But in any case, for the purposes of fiscal year 24, the board decided to apply it to the revenue side of the ed fund, and that is within policy, and therefore we have policy compliance. Detail policy 9 is about receivables. Most of our accounts, you know, you might wonder, like, why does a school district have accounts receivable? It's mostly tuition that is owed to us by other school districts. And also things like when we rent out our facilities and charge whatever entity is using the facilities. Those are the two major sources of accounts receivable. And at the end of fiscal year 24, we had no accounts receivables over 60 days old, which is the detail. Detail policy 10 talks about accepting non-resident tuition students unless tuition is being paid by other Vermont school districts. I don't know if we ever do this, but we did not do this in fiscal year 24. And I don't believe we do it now either. So that's a pretty easy one that we report policy compliance. So those were the 10 detailed policies associated with 2.4. And despite having declared non-compliance for the detailed policy associated with accounts payable, which represents a relatively small, if not immaterial, piece of the overall financial operation for the district for the year. We feel that on an overall basis, we have or can report policy compliance to the monitoring report as a whole, especially in addition to the positive audit results that we received, which is a clean audit, unmodified, unqualified, or qualified. And I will let Ron, unless you have any more questions about policy 2.4, I can turn it over to Ron, who will be able to walk us through his independent assessment of where we are with this fiscal year 24 audit that has recently been completed.
Welcome, Ron. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Folks,
Hi, Ron.
Tim, you gave a great prelude into this next sequence. So sure. So Tim, anything else you want to add? Or you want me to just kind of like pick up where you just left off and go over the audit?
The board would just be interested in hearing your opinion about what your firm has reviewed and the conclusions that you were able to draw. And certainly any concerns that you might want to add. The other thing, I will add one more thing, which is that part of the audit packet is a management letter where the auditors, although they have indicated in the reports that there are not material concerns that they have, there's always the opportunity for improvement. And our willingness to desire and willingness to accommodate that feedback is important. It wasn't a surprise. It was around cash reconciliations, timely deposits at the bank. And I think that, it's important for us to get independent feedback of how we can do our jobs better. And, we always want to be in a continuous improvement mode. Certainly migration to the new platform has brought inherent benefits from that perspective. I think that there's still always opportunities to have better procedures and better controls. I think that the sort of craziness, for lack of a better word, of what we experienced in fiscal year 24, of trying to do our day jobs and convert to a new system. And if you recall from our last meeting, not only converting to a new system, but completely changing the uniform chart of accounts that we were using, which leads to, or led to, you know, a lot of extra work to try to put a square peg in a round hole in order to bring us into compliance with Vermont's uniform chart of accounts. That's done. And, you know, as we have rolled into or about to roll into fiscal year 26, when the budget module is set up for fiscal year 26, we will be in compliance with the uniform chart of accounts. And I think we're going to make Ron's folks' job a lot easier when they do our audit next year and in the following year, having done all this work throughout the course of fiscal year 24 and the first half of fiscal year 25. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't overlooking the management letter. But at this point, Ron, I will turn it over to you.
So briefly
Tim.
on.
I saw a hand up though.
Do you have an action plan to address those three things, the cash receipts?
It's really, well, the accounts receivable, the action plan is embedded in this report, which we shared with you already. For action plans relating to, we should deposit our checks in a more timely manner at the bank. The action plan is, yeah, we should deposit our checks in a more timely manner. But in terms of, you know, I don't think that those items that were raised in the management letter have reached a level of materiality that, you know, there's a big action plan associated with other than do your job, you know, and keep track of your job better. And so one thing that we are committing to is a much more robust set of reporting for the board that we will be providing throughout the course of fiscal year 26. Now that things are settling down and we actually have good reporting to share with you. And I think that's really the action plan, that for things like, you know, what is, let's say it's on a quarterly basis, like show me a snapshot of your accounts receivable, show me a snapshot of your accounts payable, show me a snapshot of what deposits you haven't made at the bank, right? So I think the action plan, other than accounts receivable, which is much more robust than depositing checks, and reconciliations as well. I mean, I think that one of the areas that we fell short on and was noted in the action plan was timely reconciliations. I mean, throughout my career in the private sector, if you do your reconciliations on a timely manner and you're on top of your reconciliations, and everything else just follows suit, because it's when you're not reconciling in a timely manner that you fall behind, and there are items in the intra-year financial records that can be problematic, right? Like you don't really know what your cash flow is because you haven't deposited your checks and things like that. So I think that the commitment to a more robust financial metrics, both for ourselves and for the board and for Violet, is definitely kind of like the overriding action plan for these other items that were found in the management letter: reconciliations, deposits, etc.
Yeah, I have a question for Tim.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna ask as a follow-up to that. I don't know what comments, if there's been other issues in previous audits, like a management report where there's been some deficiencies perhaps. And I would just think that if there's a way to steward those, like that could then be presented to the board, that we could say like, okay, these are what the deficiencies were, whether it's cash receipts or cash disbursements or bank reconciliations, that at some point in an agenda, whether it's quarterly or something, that we have these kind of financial touch points that we need to look at, because we knew that that was a deficiency in the past. or an opportunity for improvement.
Yeah,
So we just keep it
if you
going.
look at the fiscal year 23 management letter, which is the predecessor, there was one item, which was reconciliations. And so reconciliations.
Okay, it
timely
was.
reconciliations.
Okay.
With, if it's okay, I'd love to get Ron on and then maybe, knowing you, Ron, you'll, be able to probably answer a lot of the questions.
Sure.
I just, I wanted to say hi and welcome. I think this is my 4th audit with you. But I wanted to give you the context that we are now a 7-person board, and of that 7-person board.
Well, I've heard.
4 new members.
Congratulations.
Thank you, yeah. I will not go so far as to say that these 4 new board members, I think they have much more experience with audits than I did when I started, but I just wanted to give you that context if you're able to offer some of like what Jennifer was saying, you know, year over year, and just so you know. So welcome and thank you. And
He's Chelsea.
Mark.
So I'm Ron Smith, born and raised, hail from the great state of Vermont, born and raised in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. And South Burlington used to beat the snot out of us every year in baseball. So there's what I'm going to start with. So a couple of things, because I hopped in, you know, as Tim, and I'm not sure, Tim, where you were in your presentation. Let me start with this. We do like all the school systems in the state of Vermont, and I've been doing this for 35 years. And let me just tell you, not only South Burlington School District, there were some other school systems that had bad days and weak moments that too also had self-funded retirement plans. Let me also start by saying that I don't know if there was something in the air, you know, about 15, 20 years ago, you guys, but you aren't the only one in this position. So I'll start with that. You know, and really to kind of pick up with Tim in this audit, it seems like we've been going through some transition, you know, at the South Burlington, you know, school department. And I think that certainly has aided and abetted, you know, some of the concerns, you know, that Tim is talking about here right now. You know, largely in part, I think everybody forgets, you know, that there's been a lot of transition, you know, in the finance office, you know, as well, compounded, you know, with going to a new platform, you know, for financial software. And this is where I really put this into perspective, you all. Your reporting deadline was March 31st. You've complied with your reporting deadline. Whether or not we like the news or want to talk about the news, and we all are discussing it now to get better, look at where you've come from. Look at where you're at right now, and you're in compliance with all the financial reporting deadlines, including the big one, the federal compliance deadline, you know, that exists out there that you have to. So I'd like to start the conversation out there, you know, that way, is to start it off on a good note, you all, you know, and say through all the trials and tribulations and transition and struggles, we still were able to comply for the 2nd year in a row, you know, our financial statement audit. And I think that's hats off to the people in that finance office for really kind of gritting it out, you know, getting through all of this stuff and all that. And I want to start with there, you know, which really kind of leads into my next point is you got an unmodified opinion. You know, we've got some best practice issues, okay? Financially, we know where our financial struggles are with the school system, okay? You aren't the only one in these financial struggles as well, you know, but the fact that we're talking about it, you know, and timely talking about it as this information is getting delivered to you, I think no matter what anybody thinks of the conversation, it's good conversation to have. You know, because it's out there and we're able to come up with action plans, you know, during the course of the year. And I'd also like to, you know, to start by this, you know, one of the other things, you know, that I think that really makes this whole process challenging. And this is a Vermont thing, and it's a Vermont thing that needs to change. I've been very vocal, you know, in talking to all the school systems, talking to legislators, participating in hearings, you know, out there. You have a March town meeting. Your fiscal year is not even over, okay? We all know what's going on in the world out there that's ugliness right now with education, other federal funding, you know, that exists out there. And 3 months before your year ends, you know, we're sitting here talking, you know, just about really kind of what that next budget's going to look like. And to me, it's almost even unrealistic now to have a March town meeting running a $60 million budget, you all, you know, and getting kind of closer to that, landing that, you know, thing to like a June conversation that we have as we're trying to close out our books, for the fiscal year. Tim's already kind of alluded, we 2 years ago, we kind of like, there was uncertainty with what our carryover balance was going to be. That kind of delayed, budgets, kind of, led to some failed budgets, that exist out there. And I think that that's a problem in the state of Vermont, you all, is really the timing of these town meetings and the passing of these budgets right now is a little too premature, really in this world, that we live in. And I'd kind of like to just start that all off, by just, setting the tone for this conversation, is that when you're running a $60 million budget and you're trying to get to the finish line of your end of your fiscal year, every dollar is important. Every contractual settlement, every negotiation that you guys do, is important. Every capital project, and there's a lot of infrastructure projects at the school department, is important, and money is important. I just feel, that there's a problem in the state of Vermont, really, with kind of the earliness of these town meetings and kind of setting these budgets there. And I think that the extra few months, 3 months, and looking into that crystal ball, and that's what we do in the state of Maine. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that really allows us to make better business decisions as we get closer to the year and kind of see how this plays out, and especially some of the regulators that are responsible for our money, coming in our door, and really what that looks like during the course of the year. And as we get close to the year, it's really nice to have that information. So I just wanted to kind of prelude this context to put not only South Burlington, the world of government and the world of school, into perspective here right now. And schools are always being required to do more with less. Okay. And I don't think you can work any harder, or smarter financially, because year and year and year, last year we started with $3.5 million going into this year that just finished the audit. You ended the year about the same place, and you literally used that $3.5 million to offset budget needs for the next fiscal year. So there's no extra money on the table is where I'm going, which makes it even more important to kind of prognosticate, where you're going to end the end of your fiscal year. Because when you've got $3.5 million, as your financial says, for a carryover balance, and you use $3.3 million for the next budget, which leaves you a little over $200,000 of money that's not attached to anything on a $60 million budget, that's not a lot. And that really kind of puts into perspective what Tim just said. And there's many school systems, you all, out there, not just in New England, all over the United States, that are in the same position as you are. And really, for the sake of this conversation, I just want to keep it confined to South Burlington, but $200,000 that's left that's not attached to anything on a $60 million budget. By my math, that's like 0.4%. I'm not even sure that's a few days, of your operating budget. And typically in the world of government, we're talking 30 days of an operating budget, 60 days of an operating budget, and it gives you 1 extra year by law in the state of Vermont to do something with that, move it into capital reserves, okay, to use it for budget offset. You got $200,000, you used everything for budget offset. And the $400,000 that Tim alluded to, that you have sitting aside in capital reserves, look at the infrastructure that you possess out there right now. $400,000 of a reserve fund, which is twice as much as you had 3 years ago. And that's still not a lot. So if anybody says that the South Burlington School Department is tripping over money, and really just kind of like putting this money away, couldn't be any further from the truth. I think you've been very frugal with your money. I think that, that there's a lot of things, that we've done, as well, trying to put best practices in place, and some growing pains and some software implementations have kind of, impeded our progress on that. But literally to be north of zero, I think, should be kind of commended with where you're at right now, but I think that there's going to be some strategic planning that you guys are going to need to do financially, just like any other school system, out there for many reasons. You guys have over $4 million of federal grants coming in on top of your $60 million budget. These grants are on a reimbursement basis that Tim alluded to. Okay. You spend the money, you get reimbursed the money. you put $1 million into ESSER funds, into Title I, into special ed, local entitlement, programs out there. You don't have this money, you're spending it to get reimbursed. So the leaner that you are financially, the more impactful it is to manage your money, is where I'm going. And South Burlington every month could have, 200, 300, 400, end of the year, $1 million tied up, waiting on the state of Vermont to reimburse itself. So there's so many things, and moving pieces, of the puzzle, to really kind of sit here and discuss, and to be north of zero, to not be in a panic mode of gloom and doom. Sure, there's a lot of things that we could do together, and do better, and together, pat yourselves on the back. There's some school systems that have deficits that you just turn around and pass on to the municipality by law, 2 years down the road. You're not one of them. You're not one of them. So I'd just like to, again, just start this on a positive note, with this conversation, saying, I think Tim did an eloquent job, really kind of talking about some of the struggles of the business office, and really, all hands on deck to get through 24, because it was a challenging year. And as Tim said, to put it in even context, the materiality, the significance of the findings, there was nothing of material nature that says, hey, we were behind in cash reconciliations, we were behind in, general ledger reconciliations. There was nothing impactful that said it cost us this, it cost us that. And I think that again is very important to note, you all, that even with some of our best practice matters, that we have, in our hands, right now, we know about them. We've done something about them. I can tell you right now, looking in the crystal ball, when we do the 25 audit, the first part of the year is going to be a tough part when we do our sampling. Tim's already told you that. We know that too. So what do? You try to see the progress, after that first part of the year. And as Tim says, as that you'll see that. We look forward to seeing that too, because that's an expectation that we've had as we work through this past audit with you, and as we start getting, like right now, into the 25 audit, is the progress, that you guys have made now that you get your software implementation, behind you, your staff is settling in here right now. Those are all the things that we expect to see, the more positive light, the second half of this 25 audit, that's about 2.5 months left, before you close out your fiscal year. The pooled cash, that you guys have, and your fund balance is going down every year, folks. Every year your fund balance is going down. So as that cash dwindles in this pooled fund balance, as you continue to receive these $4 million plus of federal and state grants to run other programs at your organization besides your core curriculum, and your general fund budget, it takes money, and you've got the money, but that money is dwindling. And I think that there's probably 2 areas of need, is to try to come up with certainly some kind of stabilization funds, because at some point in time, we've come out of COVID now. A lot of these savings, for lack of a better word, because of the, not spending all your money, there, and the savings of COVID, they're driving up now, you all. They're all drying up now, and we're starting to see that with all the school systems. That's a positive trend. We've probably got 70 audits under our belt already for June 30, 25. The fund balances aren't getting bigger, they're getting smaller. There. And that's a concern that we have with South Burlington, certainly, is, as you continue to throw this money at tax relief, that you're using some of it. You need it to throw at tax relief. And that's not allowing you to keep up with things like capital projects, as Tim kind of alluded to. So there's gonna be some need, not just for you all, a lot of school systems for sure, with some strategic financial planning, and that's really one of the messages that I would deliver here tonight. There's a lot of this conversation going on right now, especially with the uncertainty with federal funding, that exists out there state to state. So my state, I have a residence in Vermont, I have a residence in Maine, our state has certainly got a big target on its back right now. We just got a lawsuit yesterday from the US federal government in the world of education. I'm sure of that. And those, so we're in uncertain times for sure, you all. And you know, and I think financially, as Tim's kind of alluding to it, you know, you've still been able to be compliant with all your financial reporting, still getting the data that kind of shows where the issues are, you all. And one of the things that we saw in 24 to kind of compound, you know, where Tim was saying is you overspent your total budget, you know, last year, but it got mitigated by extra revenues coming in and your fund balance that you had, your carryover balance from the year before unassigned. So what's that mean? You didn't totally overspend your budget. You had some problems with your expenses, and certainly what you expected, you spent more. That was mitigated by, you know, additional revenues coming in and the money that you retain in your back pocket to mitigate that. If you didn't have that money, this would be a different conversation for South Burlington, but you did. You know, and really that's just something that I would just throw my hands up there and say, you know, that budget's important to really kind of stick within it, you know, and the fact that you had extra money available, in fact, you had revenues coming in over projections, really made a problem, you know, mitigated a problem, you know, with increased costs and budget. I think regular instruction was one of the big cost centers that was overspent, you know, so there's some of the, you know, just the overall comments that I had, just to kind of piggyback on what Tim said, you know, and again, I would just go back to what I said originally. You got our highest opinion, an unmodified opinion. We didn't find any question cost in the federal compliance audits that we looked at for food service and Title I. Okay, so these are all good news. But I'll tell you, there's going to need to be some conversations regarding, you know, some kind of strategic financial planning. And I don't think that you're the only one, folks, that are in that position. There's a lot of government that's in that position right now. So.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Ron. So in your opinion, you know, I know you're not our financial advisor, but do voters and taxpayers need to be concerned about the fact that the 3 million used last time won't be available this time around? Or like, how would you explain that in layman's terms?
I'm going to go back to layman's term, go back to what I said. Boy, I wish you could ask me that question in June of 2025 so we get closer to the end of the year and see how much of that $3 million we have left. You know, and that's where, you know, that I say, you know, it's literally you're looking into the crystal ball. The school system's doing everything, you know, that it possibly can to continue to look into that crystal ball. I think you're being responsible and transparent, you know, in South Burlington. I'll say that. So.
I think though, if I can add on or comment on Seamus's comment, we already took the hit on that for fiscal year 26.
Yep.
Right, and that's why we needed to have so many cuts, and that's why we had to cut staff, and that's how we had to cut across the board, because we started $3 million in the hole. So, you know, for better or worse, you're not starting fiscal year 27 in the hole. When you look at things like what is a year-on-year increase in per pupil spending and things like that. But, you know, just to state the obvious, none of us know what's happening in Montpelier, right? So in addition to the inherent challenges every year of budgeting, you know, over a year in advance and not knowing how many students you're gonna have and how much special ed IEPs you're gonna have and so on and so forth. Although it now seems less likely that we're gonna see the impact of this education transformation as earlier as the governor first proposed, we would see it. Maybe it's not going to be until fiscal year 29. It's so important in these next couple of years to ensure that we have a crystal clear handle on our budgeting process, which is one of the reasons, going back to the TASAM engagement, that we feel that having help in formalizing that process will be helpful to us in the next couple of years and in the years to come.
And I would just take and spin on what Tim just said. I've been doing this for 35 years. I think the next 60 days are vital to the world of government, really, and kind of the clarity, you know, of that. I've never seen the world of government in 35 years. I'm going back to the economy collapse in 2008, you know, during all the era, when all that money got put in, just like it did during COVID for different reasons. I've never seen it this bad, you all. I've never seen the uncertainty in so many government officials and state officials on pins and needles right now, just kind of trying to look into that crystal ball and prognosticate, as I say, you know, what the next 60, 90 days are going to be as you try to take this budget across the finish line. There's a lot of people in this situation. So just to keep where Tim left off.
Just, you know, thank you, Ron. And Ron has mentioned a couple of times, you know, the strategic financial planning. And this isn't a question for Ron. I guess I'm just going to throw this out. And Chelsea, maybe you can answer. It sounds very, very important that we do this. I know this is happening already, but I'm just trying to remember how the board is involved in that strategic planning and where that happens. Is that a scheduled activity that we're involved in? Just for my own edification, and we can answer that later after Ron's not on. I just bring that up because I can't remember if, and for the new board members, it may be helpful because again, Ron has emphasized that a couple of times, and I think that's something to come back to.
And Tim, I'll just hop in here, you know, and say this too as well. And, you know, and I'm here to answer anything for you guys that I possibly can. But here's what I'll also say. If cutting positions is part of your strategic plan, and evaluating the programs that you offer to bring our kids up through the system, that's a tough strategic plan right there to have to rely on. That is a tough ingredient of a strategic plan. And I'll just say that.
Thank you.
Seamus.
I was gonna ask one thing, but I'm gonna ask a different question based on what you just said. So what is a better option than thinking about cutting staff?
I think that that's part of your strategic plan. You know, I think that, like I say, I think, and again, you know, I get it. You passed a budget back in March, you know, that you're moving forward with. That wasn't an ideal time to pass a budget, you know, and I just think that, you know, over the next 60, 70 days, you know, pieces of your strategic plan, pieces, you know, of some of these grants, you know, that we're talking about, this $4 million coming into your system that could also compromise and, you know, and affect the services that you're providing with the federal funds out there. Okay. That's going to affect your strategic plan. And there's just things that you don't know right now. But I think as you kind of get into July and August, you all, you know, that there's going to be some more certainty. There's going to be some more clarity, you know, and I think whether it's, you know, it's the programs that you offer now based upon now knowing how these federal programs are going to be funded or affected at all, if there are going to be any cuts to it, you know, that's really where I think it would just be irresponsible for me to say what a strategic plan would look like right now. Ask me that question in July or August. I'd feel much more comfortable answering that question.
So I just have kind of a comment / question, but you know, some of this information when you're looking through the audit report is, you know, it can be complicated and difficult for some people
Absolutely.
to interpret and to absorb. And one recommendation that I would have more for the board, and perhaps with Tim's support, is to pull together something, again, that's digestible, that allows us to see like, okay, this is what we have. This is what's coming in from taxpayers. This is what's coming in from the federal government. These are all the inputs. And then this is what we have going out, so that we can use that information in order to establish a strategic plan that makes sense. Because right now I feel like it's a lot of arm waving and not understanding, you know, what that picture is going to look like next year. Like, what money do we have now that we're not going to have next year? So again, I think that we're talking at a level up here, and we need to get it at a level that we can understand, that we can all understand and disseminate, and then be able to help field questions that are coming in from the community as well. So I would just like to add that.
Just to piggyback on that, if you took statement C out of those 100 pages and expanded that statement C to this conversation, you'd now see the context of almost everything we've been talking about here right now. And I think instead of looking through the 100 page, we don't make the 100 pages up, you all, by the way. Okay. Those are standards. Those are set in stone. You know, we have to comply with them. If you don't comply with them, we got to mention it in our audit report. You comply with them.
Yep.
So, but taking that statement C out of there and taking statement E out of there and your budget to actual, I think you can condense about 8 to 10 pages, you all, and really kind of put that out there, which is the foundation, you know, and remember, we're talking about information that's 9 months old now. Okay, so where are we now? And that's why I say this conversation would be much better had in June and July, you know, as we get closer to the finish line for this next fiscal year.
James.
So you've said that a couple times, the discussion would be better in June. And also that the discussions right now are, you know, the town meeting days in March. So in your opinion, should we be advocating for changing something in terms of scheduling?
When you say changing, like your town meeting?
Right.
Yeah, so the statute allows you some options with that. So I think you have some options. But if I were you got a $60 million budget, you're lean and mean. It's not like you've got pockets of money everywhere there. Yeah, I'd be looking to get closer to the end of your fiscal year, you know, as you start making some of these businesses, some of the other school systems in Vermont do. The towns have their meetings in March, but the schools wait till June. You know, and that might be something to consider. What you got to be very careful with, you guys, is you're under a charter form of government. I think the charter kind of sets that. So the city, you and the city will have to have some conversations. You know, if you move that date is the one thing that I would certainly just qualify this conversation by you all.
Is that something you support, Violet?
Yes.
Is that something that we've brought up with the city?
It is. We talked about this at our last city school meeting. In order to do this, so our town meeting day is tied to the city charter. So this would require a charter change, and it would need to be a request brought forward. Either the board directing me to bring the charter change request to the council, or for the board to do so themselves. Charter changes typically take around a year. And so this is something that wouldn't be able to be operational for some time.
I also thought there was some consideration about hiring a contract. And so like if we wait until June and then the budget fails and we have contracts that start in July, that's not a lot of time. So just having a good discussion about the operational impact and this conversation impact, and I think it would be needed.
Yeah, our CBA would need to reflect town meeting day as it does now. So right now, dates of RIF notifications and contracts, I think could be better aligned. So for instance, now we have to RIF all employees after a first budget, for instance. So having a later town meeting date, I think would be better for employee morale and allow us to retain staff better. But again, I think the CBA RIF and contract dates would have to be aligned with whatever the meeting date.
Well, and I will just add, I don't know if staff would be in favor of that change, because often job postings, if they do want to leave, they happen. I mean, Laura, you can probably speak to this, but to find out that you get riffed after most jobs have been posted and people have been applying for them could limit your capacity to find a different job. So it's a pretty complex conversation. And I also, we're talking about the audit, so I don't want us to get too off the track, but it is a helpful point.
And Tim, just to let you know, I can tell you I've been approached by some of the leadership at VASBO to try to get into your July or August agenda to talk about some of these very same things you guys are talking about right now, FYI. So.
Is there another question over here? More questions or comments are generally for Mr. Ron Smith.
If you don't know, Ron is conducting this meeting while he's on vacation with his family. I certainly appreciate. And I was worried there, Ron, for a few minutes.
Oh,
when you
listen,
were
so
signed
Tim,
in.
let me
Sure
just
you-
tell you, Tim, I'm gonna be on an airplane in 2 hours heading to Puerto Rico, man. So that's the only way I was able to fit this bad boy in, mister.
Well, we certainly appreciate you making the time for us.
Hey, listen, I'm glad to participate in anything that you guys all need me for a sounding board today, tomorrow, or whenever. I really enjoy the relationship. Your business office are classy people to work with. Let me say that. So,
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
any other questions of me?
No, you.
Seamus?
So in my industry, when I read audit reports, I always go straight to the opinion sections. And I think that I have that there are two here. There's the one, well, there's two. There's, oh crap, I lost it here.
Page 3 or
So-
4 is the first one.
Which one?
3 or 4 is the financial statement opinion.
All right, so how many opinions are there in this?
You get 2 opinions from us, okay? One on your financial statements. That's how you spend your local appropriations, state money. And there's another letter in the back about the federal funds and how you've spent that. So there's 2 reports in there that you're probably alluding to.
Right.
Federal funds and your regular funds.
And those are the two where we're clean.
Correct. Both of them, both. Yes, correct. No question cost, some best practice issues that didn't rise, as Tim said, the word materiality didn't rise to that level. No question cost. So they were clean.
Any other questions for the auditor? I have a question, Ron. How many years in a row have we caught you on vacation?
This is the second one, by the way. But here, I was smart on this one. Okay. I didn't get up from the dinner table, at 8 o'clock here. I'm going to the dinner table now. So this is a good day for me. And I'm going to have a mojito.
Any other questions? All right, enjoy your vacation, Ron. Thank you.
Well,
so
yes,
much.
thanks. And Tim, reach out anytime. Listen, I really, anything that I can be of service. And like I said, Tim, in July and August, I'm pretty sure a lot of these common ground things that you guys are talking about tonight, the VASBO wants to bring them like first and foremost right to the front. So everybody be well. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun.
All right, board members, are we ready to go through our detailed policy report? Or are there any further questions, comments?
Should I just, point of order, I guess, I believe probably one of us should move to accept the report with a second and then we have discussion.
Yep.
I move to accept to approve the 2.4 financial condition and activities executive limitations monitoring report as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconds. Any discussion? Okay, so
I just wanted to make one comment. This is actually the third report I've seen. I did attend a meeting where I wasn't on the board. And I remember there was a non-compliance there. The report that we monitored last year was excellent. So this is the third year in a row that I've seen the financial reports be pretty outstanding. And I just want to commend the business office and our superintendent for being such good stewards of our money. So.
So as a part of continuing this motion, I'm now going to read through the policies, and it's helpful to me if you can say clearly whether you're saying yes or no, just for the sake of moving through the process. And that way, if I hear a no, I can stop. And so just as a reminder, since we're pretty new, I'm going to read through the global policy, and then I'll go each policy detail and ask reasonable interpretation, adequate data in compliance, or compliance plan acceptable for each detailed policy. And then I'll ask the same questions for the overall global policy. You ready? Okay. 2.4 financial condition and activities. With respect to the actual ongoing financial condition and activities, the superintendent shall not cause or allow the development of financial jeopardy or material deviation of actual expenditures from board priorities established in ENDS policies. Further, without limiting the scope of the foregoing by this enumeration, the superintendent shall not, 1, expend more funds than have been received or budgeted in the fiscal year to date. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
2, incur debt in an amount greater than can be repaid by certain otherwise unencumbered revenues within 90 days. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
3, use any long-term reserves. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
4, conduct inter-fund shifting in amounts greater than can be restored to a condition of discrete fund balances by certain otherwise unencumbered revenues within 30 days. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
5, fail to settle payroll and debts in a timely manner. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
Compliance plan acceptable?
Yes.
6, allow tax payments or other government ordered payments or filings to be overdue or inaccurately filed. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
7, make a single unbudgeted purchase or commitment of greater than $25,000 or the addition of a 0.5 FTE teacher. Splitting orders to avoid this limit is not acceptable. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
8, spend the prior year's undesignated fund balance. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
9, fail to aggressively pursue receivables after a reasonable grace period. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
10, accept non-resident tuition students unless tuition is being paid by other Vermont school districts or the state. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
2.4, financial condition and activities. With respect to the actual ongoing financial condition and activities, the superintendent shall not cause or allow the development of financial jeopardy or material deviation of actual expenditures from board priorities established in ends policies. Reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Yes.
Adequate data?
Yes.
In compliance?
Yes.
The 2.4 financial condition and activities monitoring report is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Okay,
As we wrap this up real quick though, I will say, again, I think it would be helpful, and I don't know how we capture this, but there's two big takeaways that I have. I mean, one is pertaining more to the big budget and understanding all of that, I think a little bit better. And then the other thing is in regards to some of the deficiencies that have come up. I mean, and as minor as they may be, I still think it's a good thing to have just from the stewardship perspective for us, to be able to see whether it's cash receipts, cash disbursements, bank reconciliations. You know, one of the items that's in here, I think it's pertaining to detail policy 10. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't, it was the one here. Whatever this one is, forget, there's something in here. With AP, with accounts payables, and there was an item in there. What was that? Was it 5? My cursor just scrolled down. But where there was an opportunity, I know there's a new process that's in place, but again, it just comes back to the stewardship of that, like, hey, pulse check, how are we doing? That's it.
Great. Seamus?
Just I agree with what Jen said. For the taxpayer, knowing what they're deciding about versus what is being imposed by the state, what has been, you know, what's being imposed by the fact that we may have used funds to pay down tax rates in the past. It's very important that we, as early as possible, even if it's a rough estimate, have it kind of laid out, you know, what's the entitlement, what's the discretionary,
Right.
what are we being forced to pay, what are we able to choose to pay? Because I think that'll have a big part to play in community engagement. So getting ahead of that.
I hear that feedback about engaging the community and being more clear. And then I also just want to say, I want to be careful not to put too much financial expertise in the board lane in the event that financially versed people are not sitting in your seats. So like making sure we're protecting that responsibility by the experts that we hire to do the job and finding a good way to share that information and be tracking it.
Yeah, I think one way to look at what you just said is precisely that we're not financial experts. And so you know, it should be presented in such a way that even we can understand. And then I think that that will translate very well to the community. So I totally agree with you.
You have no pressure before you leave, a little one pager.
No, I mean, I think that, this is the kind of feedback that will assist the tacit engagement, right? And they will help us. They will help us with the tools. They will help us with the approach. They will help us get the people engaged. I mean, the last 2.5 years that I've been here through 3 budget cycles, the complexity of this stuff is overwhelming. And I have always tried my hardest to tell people and explain to people in as simple terms as I could how this all works and how it all fits together. And it's a challenge. It really is a challenge because there's nothing about it that's easy. But it's important. It's not more than important, it's critical. Especially because you're going to be facing much tougher budgets than the one we just had. Unfortunately.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, I mean, and it may reach the point by fiscal year 29 that you're not even talking about it, right? And the state is saying, this is how much money you have to spend. And there is no vote. There is no,
Yeah, that is.
there is no school budget vote anymore, right? Like, we don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but I have absolutely no concern with your requirement to have this be clear, easy to understand, digestible, track historical trends, track historical audit points or whatever. No, it's perfectly sound fiscal management and stewardship, so.
In that vein, I don't know if it's appropriate in the Toussaint relationship, but my opinion is that benchmarking against other districts is a really convincing way to communicate numbers. If we're spending a ton of money on something, but so is everybody else, it becomes a moot point. So if that's wherever it is that can be brought in. And it sounds to me like you've done all the necessary work in terms of implementing a new system to get the benchmarking. So that's so important.
Take a survey, put it in the comments. I
Yeah.
agree, we'll pass that along.
I mean, and just so you all know, although I advised you I was leaving, I'm going to be part of this advisory committee as a resident, just not as a employee. So I'm not disappearing from this room. I'm just disappearing from upstairs.
That's right.
So I look forward to working with you, even after I leave.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
That is our great good fortune in our communities and our kids. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, it's been fun, huh?
Hi, Tim.
For whatever it's worth, whether that's a committee here or if we're working with people, I would like to be a part of that to help take information as we're working. And I don't know how I could even do that, if that's even in something I could do, but to help support the development of whatever that looks like, that communication piece, because it is extremely complicated, taking that into a way that people can understand. That's my main work. I like doing stuff like that.
And I've seen it, we've tried, I've seen it tried, I see all the information that comes from the central office, and it really does try to break it down, and it makes it, try to make it digestible, but
It still isn't there.
I can't,
We still.
my brain can't do it,
I've
so.
seen stuff from even the state, where the state sends stuff, and you're like, oh, and this is easy to digest. It was a YouTube video, and I'm watching it like, nope, they missed it.
Yeah. So I'm curious about the expertise of Toussaint, and hopefully they have some ideas that have worked in the past and that would make it easier.
I hope so too. I think it's really important, and that message is like heard loud and clear. We need to make sure that we're engaging our community effectively and using data and explaining what we used and why we used it. And it needs to be broader than the people at this table, really working to intentionally communicate and be communicated with.
Are we ready to move on? Yeah. All right, that brings us to agenda item 12, executive session. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Title I VSA 313A1 for the purposes of discussing the considerations of employment evaluation of the superintendent and central office administrators, and subsequently labor negotiations, and not to do so in executive session would put the district at a clear disadvantage.
I move. to
Tim
go to
moves.
Executive.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Laura seconds. Any discussion?
Just
Okay.
about one quick question. Is Joe joining us and are we going to stay on this Zoom?
We will add Joe. We're not going to stay on this.
Okay, thank you.
And since we're all here, we will adjourn to our conference room and Zoom Joe in somehow. So to that extent, the full board, the superintendent and attorney Joe McNeil will enter into executive session to discuss employment evaluation. And following that discussion, but prior to labor negotiations, Laura Williams, Emily Hoffman, and Chelsea Tillinghast will recuse themselves from the executive session discussion with all other parties remaining. We will not return to the open session to adjourn the regular meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.